Yo, what's the crack, people? So,
How's things, guys?
it is Friday and it's 11 o'clock. Listen, we've got a really special guest. You can see him on the screen here. We've got a special guest with us, Tom Gannon. We're going to get stuck into some serious shit with him here right now.
He has a phenomenal beard.
He does. His beard is on point.
Yes,
Isn't it?
his beard is strong.
Yeah. I actually had that cut just the other day, so it used to be a lot bigger.
It's looking sharp, man.
It is like the beard of Zeus, for fuck's sake. Now, Tom Gannon is a straight-talking motherfucker, so and I'm really, really happy that we got him on here. He's got cool stuff to talk about. Whether you're just starting off, you're going to want to listen to this shit because, I mean, I think he's got an opportunity he wants to share with you at the end of this. Or if you've been in business a while, you're still going to want to listen to this dude because this guy is an expert in the field. But I'll let you introduce yourself, Tom. Go tell these people a wee bit about yourself and how you get into this whole gig.
Yeah, so I suppose I started out many moons ago. So we started out in 2010. Okay, so we were probably or definitely the first people to do this at scale in the country. So whether we own CrossFit Sandyford, but whether it's CrossFit or it's strength and conditioning or anything that's intelligently put together from a health and fitness point of view, we were the first people to do it at scale. I left the motor trade because the motor trade had effectively just kind of imploded, and I decided I would kind of have a go at this. And I was tempted to just head off on a motorbike for 6 months ago in Europe, and I said, you know what, no, I'll have a crack at something I've always an interest in kind of opening and starting a business. So that was kind of it. We've had loads and loads of ups and downs and wobbles, same as anybody else who's been in a small business for any length of time has had. At the moment, 5 full-time staff, a couple of contractors, people that kind of help us out who aren't kind of full-time because we don't need them full-time, but that's where we're at. We've anything from 210 to 250, 260 people training in the gym at any one time. We charge minimum entry point is 185 quid a month. Okay, that's where we're at. And really, we're aiming for around about 40 grand a month. And we have wobbles and ups and downs like everybody else, but that's the kind of number we would be chasing as kind of a reasonable standard for us, and then obviously we would like to push on from there. And I suppose that's kind of it. Like you said yourself, Sean, I tend to be very practical. My business partner has a background in physics. I tend to have a big interest in kind of engineering and systems and processes, and that's the way we kind of operate and run the business.
Fucking did.
And I suppose for me to jump in here, back in 2011, so you don't know if you remember this, Tom, but back in 2011, I just qualified as a trainer and I'd got a job in a fucking power plate gym, right? So it was just...
I do remember this.
I suppose I knew coming out from the certification that I got that, listen, they didn't really cover over a lot of shit. And I said to myself, in order to learn more about training and training people, I needed to be somewhere that was doing things right. And I went and joined fucking CrossFit. I don't know, I stayed there for a year or 2 years, or whatever it was, maybe a year or so. And that was kind of my first foray into this type of stuff. Look at me now.
Yeah.
You're famous.
Now I'm famous, world famous.
Got your own show and all.
Drinking pina coladas and having the crack.
So I suppose it goes to show the importance of aligning yourself with people who are ahead of you, or people who are doing what you want to do, people who are experts and that type of thing, and absorbing and learning what those guys are doing and what they've got to offer.
Yeah, big time. Big time. We're big advocates of that, and we'll talk about that in kind of more detail. We'll go through all the other points. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. You know, you're as good as the people you are around you.
Yeah, 100%.
Go on, just go out and say it. Just say it. What is the crack, Tom? Because I know when you contacted me, you said, look, I'm really looking for... What are you looking for? Let's just tell these dudes what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose what we're looking for is we're looking to give people the opportunity to do a 4-week work experience block with us, okay? And in that, what you get to do is a couple of different things. Firstly, you get to see the inner workings of a busier strength and conditioning facility, okay? If you take away the CrossFit piece and you look at what we do, it's because CrossFit has a lot of negative connotations attached to it. But Jay will attest to this, and if anyone sits down and look at our programming and the way we do it, it's different and it's intelligent, okay? So you get an opportunity to work in that, and also in a very busy and professionally run facility. You guys are at this a long time, and you'll, I suppose, attest to this as well, that you can get a job in a busy gym that is run like a zoo, and they're hurting people and they're doing it badly and there's no career progression, and it's just everyone's just chasing the next week's paycheck, okay? The other thing it then does for you, it gets your foot in the door in another facility and opens up your network of people, okay? And what I mean by that is, like, this has happened and continues to happen. The fitness industry, most industries in Ireland and around the world are often quite small. And the guys who are good tend to know the other good guys. So if you apply for a job, okay, and there is a connection somewhere in there, normally there's a phone call that happens. People know people. So if a guy does 4 weeks for me, okay, and he learns a lot, but I don't have a space for him at that time, but somebody else is talking to me, somebody on the other side of the city, Tom gave me a hand with this, blah, blah, like any crack, yeah, I'm looking for a coach at the moment. I've got a guy for you. And I put you in touch with them. And exactly what Jay said, you're now getting into a different circle and separating yourself from the guys who, you know, for want of a better term, are just crying about not being able to get a good job, not really making a whole lot of fucking effort to do it. The other thing then is you're going to learn some practical and real world skills. Okay, there's a lot of theory, and theory is very, very important. But I've seen this over and over again. You got a guy theoretically is really, really good. When you pressure test him in a real life situation, the whole thing falls apart. And the only way you can get good at that and get better at that is by being in that situation and being in that environment. So that's what we're looking to do.
Happy days.
Fucking deadly.
He just dropped something, didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
He was. No, but I think you're right there. A point that you touched on there, and this is going to make us sound like fucking owl lads, all right? Now, you are a bit older than me. Just putting that out there. No, but it's going to make us sound lads. But you got all these people, and they go and do the qualification, and you get the certification, and you maybe have abs, and you don't have abs. And it's like, all right, listen, where's all the people? You know, with your bill that they will come, and it's like, you got to be fucking willing to put in a bit of skin into the game here. And that's something that a lot of people that are looking to get into the industry, or they've maybe been floating around in a while, they're just not willing to do it, aren't they?
They're probably event focused. They see the event, you know, like they see the picture of the big, massive facility going up, and they go, oh, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
But they don't see the maybe 10 years of graft that went into getting to that point, and they expect it fucking overnight because, you know, it happened for them when they seen that event on Facebook. They didn't see the 10 years that went into getting to that event on Facebook. That's the process, the 10-year process. I think a lot of people think it's going to be handed to them, or there's some opportunity out there that they're the greatest in the industry.
Like a big one for me is I have a really big appreciation for the apprenticeship model, because the beauty I'd see in an apprenticeship model, you can become an electrician or a carpenter or mechanic or whatever like that. You know, okay, you're pretty handy and you kind of know your way around some tools, blah, blah. But you go into an apprenticeship, particularly with the really, really good guys, okay, they will make you look like you haven't got a clue what you're doing. And I don't mean that in a negative way, and they're not trying to intentionally make you feel bad, but it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't realize how awful you are at something until you get to a reasonable point. So when you haven't got, and you've got exactly what Jay said, and we see this, guys, and not to get too ranty about it, but like you get a guy's like, you know, I'm pretty athletic, I'm pretty fit, and I kind of look the part. I'm like, you're 22. Like, if you know what I mean? That's not a difficult thing to do at 22 or 32. So like, that's not a big achievement. Okay. So you get them and they turn up, and then sometimes they're so naive or so inexperienced that they don't even have the ability to understand how far back they really are. And because there isn't an apprenticeship model, there's no one really telling them. Yeah. Like, you go into a busy kitchen. Like, if I wanted to become a chef tomorrow, I'd go and do the most practical course I could get. Okay, that I know gets people jobs in the industry. So like what you guys do, that's what I would do. I would burst my balls in that course, because that's the smart thing to do. I'd impress the tutors, okay, because I know you guys have all the connections and have all the contacts.
Right.
And then the next step I would take is I would ask around in a very polite and very professional way. Okay, if I can't get my foot in the door, I then buy some time. So if I couldn't get a job with someone, I go, look, what's your PT rate? I want to buy 2 hours of your time. We don't need to do any, I want to talk to you about this, and this. And I'd go in with all my questions prepared, and I'd treat it like a job interview from the other way around. Okay. If they won't give me that option, I then trade time. So I'll do 5 hours for you. You give me whatever you want me to do. I'll do 5 hours, that you give me 1 hour, or I'll do 10 hours, you give me 1 hour. And if that doesn't work, I'd offer to work for them completely for free. And in other industries, this happens all the time. There's guys literally sleeping under tables in restaurants around the world at the moment because they're trying to get their foot in the door to build a long-term career. They're not kind of sitting at home going, oh, I just can't get a job in a good restaurant, you know? And that your whole goal with this is to get your foot in the door. Like it's to get that intro. It's like, it's just to get a chance to sit with these people and be with these people to then move on to the next stage, which is to impress them and all the other bits and pieces. And that's the approach I would be taking with it. And that's the approach I have taken. I've done that. I was degree educated, smart, had a very good degree, very smart, good leaving cert, worked a couple of different things. I took a shitty job. Now, I mean a shitty job as a junior sales guy, washing cars. 6 months later, and this isn't a humble brag, this is what happened. 6 months later, I had the sales manager's job, and the sales manager was gone. And I was doing both the jobs, and I was making a lot of money. Now, that didn't happen by accident. And you guys are old school. I did stuff that other people wouldn't think of doing, or were too egotistical to do. I'm not going in there washing cars. I'm too good to wash cars. Really? Well, fucking prove it. Let's see how good you really are and how good you can prove yourself to be in the real world in an objective setting. Not you have an opinion of yourself that you're really, really good, or your granny told you were really, really good,
That's a fucking excellent point. Instead of the opinion you have of yourself, sometimes can be super overinflated because of dudes who think they're in shape or they think they know a little bit. And it's not until you get put into your real world scenario, kind of like what you're saying that your case would be, where you realize, fuck, I am nowhere near the level of these other guys.
Again, like you made the point there of investing. It's like, look at, as a personal trainer, gym instructor, or whether you work as a strength and conditioning coach, whatever it is, basically what you're asking people to do is invest in themselves. And in doing that, invest in you, give you money. And it's like, the amount of trainers then you'd ask, like, when's the last time you paid someone to train you? Or you paid someone to program for you, or nutrition, or whatever the case may be? I wouldn't do that. Sure, I know everything. It's like,
that's your
problem. The exact thing there, point two that you said was what I done. Joined the gym, paid that gym money, which was your gym, because you guys knew shit that I didn't know or I wanted to learn.
And
what was going on then?
Yeah, and there's a very interesting part of this, right? And I don't know whether it's. I think it's because when I see two extremes, and it polarizes it, you tend to kind of really remember it. But what I often see in our industry is two very, very different people. Okay, so at one end of the spectrum, you get the guy who's always learning, and he has absolutely no ego. Okay, he just wants to learn. And at the other end, you get an egomaniac who's very, very arrogant and ultimately is not really that good at what they do.
Yeah.
But the Dunning-Kruger effect in full flight, they don't even have the ability to see that. And an interesting thing I've seen, we've had two guys in the thousands of people we've had through the doors in kind of 9 years. We've had two guys who are athletic monsters right now. I mean, these guys are complete and utter freaks of nature. Both of them. Okay. Yeah, no, I'd like to start at the start. I just want to check out all the... Now, I mean, legitimately, like we start with, because we have a broad spectrum of people starting, we start with like goblet squat, hinge, da-da-da. Now, we're talking about guys with like 250 kilo deadlifts, 250 kilo squats, 115 kilo snatch, this kind of stuff. And this guy was like, I'll start there because that's the way this is done and we'll see how we go. Yeah. The other end of the spectrum is I get these clowns, not that much anymore. We get these guys, I don't need to do a beginner's program. I'm too good for that. It's like, and it's like, you don't. Your movement is awful and you're weak. And that attitude or that mindset that people have that they've got it all figured out and they know what they're at will follow them around. And it just, those guys just typically don't do well at all. So I would really encourage people to just be humble and kind of have that kind of humility. And when you're in a setting, when you start to broaden out the people you're spending time with, that's when you get your eyes opened really, really quickly. You realize, actually, do you know what? I don't have a rash is what I'm doing here.
I think, again, there's a lot of people who have a reluctancy to even ask for help in any way, shape or form. So you've given a few ways that you could go about it, give something to get something. But even sometimes just asking, the initial thing is you got to ask. Now, funny thing here, one of the guys that works for Sean, he has a gym and he was doing a bit of an open day type thing. So he rang up a few companies for Phil, John West, a few different companies, that would kind of have stuff. And he wanted to put it into like a little hamper party bag type goodie thing. Bag, yeah, goodie bag. So he rings up John West and they're like, yeah, no problem. So he's in work, sending a delivery. you see this? He's in work. They're sending him a delivery, and his ma rings him up, going, Sean, the garden is full. The garden is full. He's like,
John, there's a fella here with a forklift.
yeah. He gets to the ma's garden. There was 2,500 pots of fucking, what was it? Steam pots of kind of like noodles with tuna that goes on top of it. 2,500. So listen, he asked, he got it royally.
Yeah, and you do sometimes have to ask.
Yeah.
Look, we've got a comment here. I'm just going to display this on the screen. So it says, I'm sorry, we can't see the names. Just want to explain this because of GDPR, whatever the fuck that stands for. Anyway, but look, it says, hey lads, just wondering when this apprenticeship is on for. So what, Tom, when is the crack with this thing?
Okay, so two things. We're going to start it in about 3 weeks. But this brings me on to my, I suppose, to answer their question, we're going to start it in 3 weeks, assuming we get the right person, okay, or the right people. Now, this brings me on to kind of another point, because the thing we want to talk about is how to get and keep the job you want. So some really basic stuff here that I've experienced over the years and having a lot of people apply for jobs with this and stuff, okay? First and foremost, the one thing we would always be looking at is how you apply for that job and how you approach that process tells us an awful lot. And I'll give you, I suppose, an anecdotal example. We advertised for a job a while ago, okay, quite a while ago. And very simple and clear instructions. I'm a fairly simple man, okay? Apply with your CV and cover letter to this address. What happened next astounded me. People would email a completely different email address. I had a guy rang the gym at 5:15 on a Tuesday evening because he wanted to have a chat about the job that he had not even applied for. Okay, we have people send in CVs that are littered with spelling mistakes. We have people who are, well, like, can I come in and talk to you? And what that, and I suppose to help people out there who are looking for this stuff and trying to get into kind of professional places, what that tells a potential employer is you can't follow the simplest and most basic of instructions. Okay, now whether that's a kind of oversight or an inability to follow instructions, whatever it is, what it tells me is you're going to be a problem. Okay, because we asked you to do this certain thing this way and you didn't do it. And it's not in a military-esque, you need to do what I'm telling you to do. We get to know you, we have a relationship, you're starting to, show that you've got a skill set and we've got a skill set. Sure, we'll always have kind of conversations and discourse about better ways of doing things. But right out of the gate, if a job or the way you're meant to apply and you're asked to do something is this, and you do it a completely different way, you should probably remove yourself from that process immediately. And that would be my take in it. I don't know if you guys agree with that or you guys have experienced anything like that, but it just astounds me. The other part of it that really got me was the guy who rang me, because I answered the phone, yeah, hey, it's Tom, blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah, I've been in the fitness industry for this long and blah, blah. And I was like, you've been in the fitness, and I didn't say this to him. So try and be polite and professional. It's like, you've been in the fitness industry for this long, and you rang a gym that runs classes that are on the website, and you rang us at 5:15 to have a chat. Shows you don't really know anything about the industry, because we don't have the time to do this any time of the day. We certainly don't have it at 5:15.
Yeah.
Genuinely had some very, very similar stuff happen with the same kind of thing. They just cannot follow instructions. We did have people ringing, blocking up the phone lines, taking the admin's time. It's just like fucking hell. Can you tell me more about the job? It's like it's fucking on the post. Read it, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Well, being honest, to me, I'm older and we are a bit probably you're Jay's, not as old as us, but to me it's manners.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's lost.
Yeah.
Like I feel entitled to just ring up and start forcing my requirements into your day and into your time. I don't have the courtesy to do the simplest thing that I've been asked to do. So yeah, I mean, look, that's one kind of key thing on it. So anybody, when we tell you how to do this, if you're genuinely interested in it, please follow the instructions.
They will be simple instructions too. I mean, they should be easy to fucking follow.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right, let me see. So we've kind of covered from a sort of 40,000 foot view everything you wanted to talk about here today. But look, I'll pull you back to some of the points. So first thing you were saying is getting your foot into the door to a prestigious facility. And you were talking about the importance of it and some things that you were willing to do and some people aren't willing to do things. But what would, if you had to give us like a couple of points of advice on that, getting your foot in the door to prestigious facilities, how would you do that?
I would ask. very simply and very plainly, but in a very polite and professional way. Hey, my name is Tom. This is where I'm at. Real short and simple. Not a 3-page essay. No one has time to read that. No one wants to read that. And the people you're trying to get in touch with, they're busy. Okay, so really short. Really, this is where I'm at. This is where I'd like to get to. What would you suggest? The other one then I would do is, like I said, I would offer to buy time. Like if I rang up Jay, do you know what I mean? Some guy in the Elite Fit, and he's done your course and he's happy and he's struggling to get a job, and rings up and says, look, how much is a personal training hour? It's whatever, it's £100. Okay, fine. I'll spend £100 to get an hour of your time. Sit down. I would then have my questions laid out, and everyone's going to have different questions, and I would do that. The other one then is I'd offer to work for free. I've done this. Literally, and I'd never give anyone advice to do something that I haven't done, myself. I never asked someone to do something I haven't done myself. I've done that. I've offered to work for guys for free. And a lot of people are like, oh, are you joking? I'm too good for that. It's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see in a year or 5 years where you are and where I am. You know what I mean? Because I'm willing to do stuff you're not willing to do. And then the other one I would look at is I would follow up. Okay, and I'm a big proponent of sales stuff, and I kind of know both of you guys are as well. But like, you'd be amazed at how much further ahead you can get by politely and professionally following up with somebody. So then the message starts to get out there, or the opinion that somebody has of you is, this guy's contacted me in a very nice, polite and professional way, or this girl has contacted me in a very nice and professional way. They followed up, they're offered to buy some time. I haven't got back to them or whatever. When we always do get back to people, but for the places that don't get back to people, but he followed up again 3 weeks later. What does that tell me about him? He's polite, he's professional, he's persistent. And they're qualities that you want in a coach. So that would be some entry point stuff I would be doing.
Because again, like sometimes, as you said, I know for myself, on a daily basis, you kind of put things in a hierarchy, right? This is shit I need to get done straight away. This is stuff that I can kind of wait till later. And very often that type of message will be put in the wait till later box. And you could forget about it. But if somebody, as you said, reminds you in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, you're like, oh shit, no, I'll get back to this right now.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. We've had there was someone who asked for, was there positions, and they followed up, and they got in front of us. People follow up and they are persistent. They get in front. You will get them in front of you.
Yeah. But the big key with that is, okay, going back to the other part of being professional and follow the instructions. Don't be a pest, and don't follow up, sending emails that have grammatical errors in them. Don't approach, not even putting a name in it. We get stuff like this. We don't get as much of it as we used to, but remember, this is a first impression you're making for somebody. So it needs to be professional, and it needs to give the person receiving the message confidence that, this guy, at his best is pretty good. Because if you can't do it well at the very start, maybe you're nervous, maybe something went wrong in your life, whatever. But if you consistently at the start make 2 or 3 big mistakes, you're not really setting yourself up for success.
Cool. Well, that's probably the first couple of points covered there when you're saying getting your foot in the door and making that first impression. Then what about understanding the employer's motivation behind it hiring you? What's the importance of that, Tom?
So we always try and look at stuff, or I always try and look at stuff and put myself in the other person's shoes. Okay, what problem and from that context, so what problem are they trying to solve? What problem am I trying to solve? Okay, so when someone is employing somebody or looking to employ somebody, often what we're looking to do is not often, but we're always looking to solve some kind of issue. It might be a small issue or a big issue, but we're looking to solve a problem, and they're huge, and the number of things is kind of endless. But it can often be that we're trying to decrease stress and workload. So it's one of the reasons why I hire an admin. Okay, because it's just too much shit going on, and it's not helpful for you. You're trying to improve or speed up the growth of your business. You're trying to increase the profitability or the revenue of your business. And you're often, particularly in the industry we're in, you're often trying to buy back some time. Okay, so there's a lot of guys in the fitness industry, a lot of guys who own and run their own businesses. Their typical working week is bananas to a lot of people out there. It's like, oh, you work 55, 60, and you're like, yeah. I'm like, right. So a lot of the time you're just trying to buy back some of that time. And buy back some of that time with somebody that you can trust. This is a very important point. And I would have learned this growing up. My dad owned his own company, you know, made a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. A business and a professionally run business where people actually give a shit, the ones that last, okay, and do things to a certain standard. This is literally like their life's work. This is their baby. So you've got to look at it from that point of view when you're being employed by them. This isn't just a job. Every mistake, every fuck up you make, they pay for. Okay, so you've got to be looking at it from that perspective. That's the way the employer is looking at it. They want you to learn. They'll give you space and room to grow. They'll understand that you're going to make mistakes and they're going to pay for them. That's all fine. But you've got to be approaching it from that point of view. This is like, there's a feedback loop in owning your own company, which is like a 100% commission only sales role. And a lot of people don't get this. A lot of people in jobs, they're so heavily protected by employment law and lots of other things. They can make a complete hames of stuff, right? And cost businesses lots and lots of money. At the end of the week, they still have their hand out and they still get paid. But often the employer is paying that bill. You know what I mean? You make a big mistake. You piss a customer off. You don't do your job. You don't do it to the standard you were meant to. But you still want your money at the end of the week, at the end of the month. And the employer is picking up that bill. Now, the flip side of that is you do your job well and the employer is looking after you. It's working out right for everybody. And that's the other side of all of this. It should be a mutually beneficial arrangement. Everybody should be getting what they want out of it. So no one should be getting the short end of the stick. But one of the difficulties with that is a lot of people in the fitness industry, until they've had their eyes open to it. And I've had guys who work for me are like, oh, I really want to open a gym. They come in, they work for me for a year and they're like, I don't want this. This is too much. This is too stressful. There's too much going on. So guys, often people in the fitness industry or in any business don't really understand like basic stuff. Somebody gives you 10 grand, VAT, PAYE, PRSI, professional fees, accountancy fees, rent, rates, light, heat, insurance, that 10 grand becomes whatever.
Oh,
so you've got to be looking.
You're scaring the fuck out of me here. Tell me there's a happy end to this.
You know what I mean? Like there's that side of it that you've got to be looking at it from the employer's point of view, that's the pressure they're under all the time.
That's the real world. That's the reality of the shit here.
Exactly. That's the truth of it. And anyone who tells you any different or is kind of just leading up the garden path, you know, that's the truth of it. So the employer is looking at it from that perspective. And that's the lens they're looking at this through. And that's what I'd be encouraging people to look at it from. You know, that's kind of, that I think is kind of the, you know, in a nutshell. The other side of it then is looking at it from the point of view of, you know, what's an employer trying to do for you? Like we know that one of the hardest things certainly seems to be for a lot of guys is getting full-time work. So a full-time job in the fitness industry, in a job in an industry that they want to do, not teaching exercise to music 30 hours a week, doing something they really want to do. So we offer full-time contracts. At the earliest opportunity we can, our employees are kind of full-time. We also know that guys want to make more money. So we have a commission and incentive structure that allows people who perform well. So this is the real world. You do your job well, people spend more money, people hang around longer, you make more money. So that's kind of the way we look at that. And again, going back to it, it has to be a mutually beneficial agreement. And the smart business owners approach it like that. There are guys out there who just try and squeeze a guy. They'll just literally just work him into the ground and kind of grind him into a nub. But it's not smart business, because if the employee or the team member is unhappy, that's going to be reflected in their work, which is going to be reflected in your kind of money and turnover.
Cool. Well, what I'm hearing from what you're saying is like seek the win-win from the thing. You know, if you know that an employer's motivation is he's buying back some time because he's been working 60, 70 hours, building his business to that point. It's his fucking baby. He loves it. If you can show him that you can give him that free time back by investing a little bit of money in him and not fuck anything up, and in fact, you'll probably do a pretty good job while you're at it, that's a win-win, and you're starting off on the right foot. Yeah,
big time.
I think it's important as well, though, as the employee to understand your kind of role in this as well, because we've had situations where people have been here and, you know, after maybe 6 months or a year, they're kind of like, fuck, you know, I'm bigger than this place, or, you know, if I leave, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's like, oh, you'd see it. Nothing happens. Nothing ever changes. They're just like, such and such is gone. Oh, is he? He was a really nice guy. Next dude comes in, he's a nice guy. Within 2 or 3 weeks, that's it.
Yeah, because people in like, I think people forget this because they think they're living in this goldfish bowl of the gym and the community and all this kind of stuff. They forget that like the people who train there have so much other stuff going on in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've seen guys do it like, oh, I'm going to walk and I'm going to take all your clients and blah, blah, blah. Even if a guy does manage to do that, okay, and I've seen this happen, even if they manage to do it initially, say you meet that guy 6 months or a year later, it has not gone well for him.
No, because usually what they do is they charge them. They try and say, I'm going to open up a gym or I'm going to do something and I'm going to do the same thing that we do here, but I'm just going to charge you less money. Well, I mean, you can do that for a few months, but that can't be sustainable moving forward.
No, not only that. There's absolutely that because they don't understand margin. They don't understand the basics of running the business. But the other side of it is, and I'm a firm believer in this, their attitude and their mindset and their approach to being a half decent human being is shitty.
Yeah.
Okay, and that follows you around. And typically, what you bring with you is other shitty people and shitty customers.
Yeah, 100%.
You become a shit magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit magnet. Amazing.
Yeah, mate. So look, we've covered everything except this idea of professional. Now, you did touch upon this, but if we want to just pull these out so that everyone sees exactly what we're covering. The professional humility or the anti-expert, what is the meaning behind that and why is that beneficial to understand?
Yeah, so I suppose the thing we were talking before, and me and Jay were kind of going back and forth a little bit. It's understanding where you really fit in the general hierarchy of things. Okay, I get it. We all need self-esteem. We all need to be kind of confident. We all need to feel good about ourselves. And I'm all for that. You also need to understand that maybe you're not as good as you think you are. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And there's certain people who read this or hear this or watch this and it'll really piss them off. How dare he? I'm brilliant. They're the people I'm specifically talking to, okay? Because you typically don't have a rash as what you're doing. You think you do. You think you're great. I'm fit. I'm strong. I'm athletic. So what? That's basic. Like, this is simple stuff, okay? It's not hard to be fit, strong, and athletic. Like, it really, it isn't, especially when it's your job. So, that's what I would be encouraging people to do, is to hold on to that attitude that you're there to learn and that you're possibly not as smart as you think you are, okay? And try and foster that attitude. And if you can't have that attitude fostered, probably one of the quickest things you can do. I mean, I can't remember, Sean, is it judo? Isn't judo you do?
Do a bit of Thai boxing and a wee bit of judo.
Yeah, and Jay, you were boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've done boxing and different things over the years.
So the big thing I've seen, okay, you take somebody that goes to a martial arts thing or something like that, is they very, very quickly realize that they're not really that good at what they're doing. And if they don't pay attention and if they start acting like they're kind of the big shot, someone is going to hurt them.
You get a fucking slap. Oh, why?
Yeah. Okay. And I don't mean that in an aggressive way, but that's the same as in the business world. You go swanning around thinking you're God's gift because you're kind of lean and you can lift and throw a few weights around and you think you're brilliant, and you go around with that attitude, you're going to get hurt. You will. Like, the industry will chew you up and spit you out, and you'll be the guy sitting at home with your mom at 30 years of age crying on the couch that, the fitness industry is a hard industry to make money. So that would be it. The other one then I would be looking at is from the kind of professional humility point of view, what are the core competencies of the business that you're in and what can you do? Because being fit and athletic and being a technician and understanding movement is a very, very small part of this business. Can you get a client from a phone call to buying a membership? Can you get a client who's thinking about leaving to come back? Can you do injury rehab? Can you design a program that another kind of a guy who's a lot sharper than you or a lot more kind of experienced than you looks at and goes, yeah, this is really, really good. So, it's all that kind of stuff. And anecdotally, like, I remember a guy I knew years ago was a really, really sharp salesperson selling cars. He left, he went to Australia selling cars, sold a car, held on to a load of margin, went into the guy and, this is what I'm at, thought he was the big dog. And the guy was like, did you sell finance? No. Did you sell extended warranty? No. Did you sell ProShine paint protection? No. Upholstery protection? Gap insurance? No. Your man's like, so you sold a car? He's like, yeah. Man's like, yeah, okay. So you did one of the 6 things you're meant to be able to do. Why don't you try harder? Try harder next time.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. And, you know, there's certain people who watch this who have that attitude already. They want to learn, they want to be in that environment, they want to grow. But the people who aren't, my strong advice to you, being in this a long time, and the same as you guys, the same message you guys are giving is, you know, just kind of be cool and understand that you're trying to learn and you're trying to grow with it.
Yeah, definitely. That is definitely the attitude we want to see in here, and it's the attitude I had the other night when I was in with the fighters. And listen, I haven't been in the Thai boxing in fucking maybe 10 years, and these dudes do it every fucking day of the week. And like, you look like a complete fucking beginner. You're like, oh, don't hit me. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same as what we're talking about here. If you don't go in there humble, if you go in there thinking like I'm strong, I mean, you are going to get your ass fucking handed to you. No doubt.
Yeah. No matter how strong you are, I mean, a punch in the face still hurts.
Oh, fucking. No, you know what I mean? Yeah. A punch in the face from a 19-year-old is still a punch in the face.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like, I don't remember 19-year-olds being that big when I was young.
The gym weights, that's why.
Yeah.
Jay's making them big and strong.
Deadly. Okay, so let me see if we've any other things we needed to cover. Yeah, what's the bonus? Why working for somebody else before going out your own might be worth thousands?
Yep.
In the long term.
Yeah. So here's I suppose my take on this. There's lots of opportunities out there where a guy can go into a big, bright, clean, well-equipped commercial facility and trade some of their hours for the opportunity to be in that marketplace. Okay, so you can give Ben Dunn, FlyFit, whoever it is, 10, 12 hours of your time. Okay, so then if you are thinking about going out on your own, that leaves you about another 40 hours of work a week. Okay, typically for a self-employed person, you're probably working 50 hours a week. My view is, firstly, they will pay for your mistakes. Okay, and we touched on this earlier. You make a mistake, you still get paid at the end of the week. Okay, sorry, not in the where you're trading 12 hours of your time or 10 hours of your time. But if you're working and an employee for somebody, they pay for your mistake. You can learn from them and their mistakes. Okay, so if I was going to open a gym tomorrow, open a restaurant tomorrow, the very first thing I would do is I would go and work for somebody who ran a really, really slick one. Then when I decided I was going to open one, I would offer to give them, and I'm not exaggerating and making numbers up, I'd offer to give them 5, 10, or 15 grand. Because if I'm going to put 100 grand in opening the gym, which is probably what you would spend today to open a reasonably tidy one with planning permission and all the other bits and pieces, yeah. I know that I spend 10 grand on all of those bits and pieces, and I spend 10 grand on having somebody consult and bring me through it. They're going to find 10 grand, 800 quid a month, 900 quid a month. They'll do that all day. Okay. Me, you, the guys who've been at this a long time. Some guy wants to open a gym in Westport. Cool. What are you going to do? We'll go down. And if the three of us collectively sat down and went through it, I'll put money on it. We could find 30 or 40 grand in the plan he had versus the plan we have. So that's one of the big benefits of working for somebody else first.
Even a simple thing, just to kind of touch on that, you know, you're looking at somebody's gym plan. And again, it's like fucking kids in a sweetie shop. Oh, I'm going to get this, and this, and they're fucking clapping their hands, they're jumping up and down. Yeah. It's like, well, how does that figure into your programming model or your business model? What do you mean? Well, I mean, a leg curl is 5 grand and only one person can use it at a time, and you're planning on training 20 people at a time. Yeah. Well, how does that leg curl fit into that business model? Doesn't really, does it? No, I've saved you 5 grand. You don't need that. Boom. Do you know, like, it's that simple.
Yep.
You do that a few times and you've spent the money.
And it's experience. So not to go too far down the rabbit hole of this, but like simple stuff, like, okay, you're going to put 10 racks in. Well, what if we move that one there and that one there and we put an 11th rack in?
Yeah.
You got an extra person. That's 3 people a night, every night of the week for the next year. Yeah. Or you're going to charge 11 quid a class. Why don't you charge 12 quid a class?
Yeah.
All of this simple stuff. So that's the first thing you're kind of learning from somebody else and being in that environment. You're learning. It's like a pressure cooker. You're learning and developing stuff that you can't learn anywhere else. The other one then, going back to that, you can give a gym time and they'll give you opportunity to kind of coach people in that space. My view, and some people may disagree with this, is if I go and get a job in FlyFit, right, or wherever, and I give them 10 hours of my time, and then from there, I can do all the PT I want, right? If I can't make a lot of money in that setting, I have no business trying to open up a facility the other way around, because I'm in a setting that's clean, tidy, up to spec in terms of insurance, music licenses, all of the stuff that people don't really think about.
And what are people who want to train?
Fucking flooded. It's
You know,
like,
Yes.
Tom, that would be, and I always make this analogy. I always say, like, there was some days I walked onto the car showroom floor, and I'm sure this happened to you, and there's fucking no customers, and you're like, shit, what are we going to do? We need to start marketing harder. But if you walked into your showroom and there was like 100 people there, you'd be like, I am going to be fucking rich.
Yeah.
You know, but yet people are sitting in a gym today, probably in FlyFit, going, where am I going to get clients? I'm going, they're fucking right there. I mean, shit. Go talk to prospective customers, but they haven't the ball to go talk, or they maybe don't view it that way. I just don't get it. I don't get that.
Or the customer should come to them, or whatever it is. So that's my view. Like, go and work for them and put your toe in the water. Because if you can't, you know, and it's, again, it's not to be discouraging. It's the reality of this stuff. If you can't make it there with a long list of people in front of you, people with loads of problems, people with loads of issues, you look the part, you're smart, you're presentable, and people coming through the place all day. Man, you open a gym and you've got all the other regulations, responsibilities, costs, hassles, stresses, everything stops at you. The toilet's broke, it's not working, the accountant wants to talk to you, all of that stuff. You know, you're going to get roasted. You really will. And it's not to be, again, not to be discouraging, but it's, I see this happening. The guys putting like their life savings into stuff. And you're like, man, like I hope to God you've got a better plan than this. So my view would be go and work for somebody else. Fill a client book in FlyFit. Be absolutely smashed, like out the door, charging more than everybody else. Sit down and talk to professionals, other people who've kind of done what you're looking to do. Spend some time, spend some money, invest it, and then decide. Before you decide to go out and, you know, get a loan off your mum and dad and play it into.
The other thing to think about there as well for people is, it's like we could fucking maybe push this message sometimes as well, even unbeknownst to ourselves. But the idea of that, you know, you're only successful in the fitness industry if you own your own gym or some shit like that is crazy, because we've worked with guys who, you know, they operate out of a gym, they're a personal trainer, and they're making, I don't know, and this is not just smoke up their arse, you know, $6,000 to $8,000 a month a dude could be pulling in, right? So you turn around and you say, you take off $2,000 or $3,000, $2,000, let's say, rent, bit of marketing, blah, 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 blah. He's left with $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 sometimes a month, this dude. It's like, that's going to be quite hard if you have a gym and members and staff and to be left with that pocket of money for yourself at the end of each month.
Exactly, like the profit, like,
Do you know what I mean? So again, it goes back to margins, what you spoke about there.
Like some people get this idea, oh, I need to be an entrepreneur. I need to, you know, if I don't have my own gym, I'm not living. It's like fucking, you're running your own business from within someone else's business, which means you get all the good shit, none of the bad shit. Do you not see you're working for yourself? I mean, probably it's these people are looking through that, I suppose.
But one point I have on that I think is, I think there's a weird spot now where, because the industry is so young, right? Mm-hmm. And we were like, you know, we started in 2010, no one was doing this. And we took a lease on a 3,000 square foot facility and, you know, just held on for fucking dear life. But there's a tipping point now where, because there's a lot of gyms that aren't really run that well, okay, they just aren't, okay, if we're really honest about it. They don't survive the test of time. They're doing some shady stuff. You know, they're 35 and they're still living in an apartment with 3 other people and all this kind of stuff. They're not really kind of getting where they want to be. The difficulty there is for guys coming up through the ranks, where do they go? Do you know what I mean? Because there aren't that many big successful gyms that can offer a guy decent career prospects and blah, blah, blah. Where does that guy go? So then they often feel a little bit trapped. And when someone often feels trapped, they make dumb decisions. They panic. I'm going to open a gym because, you know, and they go and open something in town, or they go and do something, you know, kind of a little bit harebrained. So a big part of this, and we say this to our team all the time, like what we're looking to do is to help guys, professional guys, make a professional salary and push this along. Because I do firmly believe that what we do is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's becoming more and more normalized and more mainstream for people to legitimately have a coach and take a genuine interest in their health and fitness. So I think there's a hard spot for some guys there, where it's tough for them to kind of see where to go next. So I don't know if you guys think that or see that, but it's something I would kind of.
No, I definitely think you're right. It's like there's going to be, you know, we do a little bit of traveling, so whether it's over to the UK or it's over to America, and whatever happens in America trickles to the UK and eventually trickles to Ireland, and that's probably in every industry, but particularly in fitness. And there's definitely going to be a big divide between the gyms who are cheap and cheerful, and it could be your FlyFits, your Ben Duns, or your fucking Fit for Less, or there's new people coming into that market space. But they're in a competition of get the biggest facility possible, run it as cheaply as possible, and get as many people in as possible. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you mean if their gym model is €50 a month and they've got fucking 10,000 square feet or whatever and 10,000 members, I mean, you can't compete with that with a little 1,000 square feet facility. So that pushes you to the other end of the spectrum, to the premium, to what you're talking about, and everybody in the middle is just going to be fucking swallowed up.
And there's a lot of people in the middle. I think that's really what Tom's saying. There's this middle bit.
It's going to be gone.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, big time. And like, not to get too far down the rabbit hole of this, I just have to move to plug that computer in. But like, if you really look at what FlyFit and stuff are doing, and I would kind of certainly believe this. I think a lot of what they're doing is they're acquiring real estate.
Yeah. And
they're using this money to service those loans in prime locations. And I would be interested. Yeah, but I would be interested to see if in 10 years, if FlyFit in town in a prime location is still a gym.
Yeah, it's apartment block or fucking whatever.
Apartment block, car showroom, Porsche showroom, for, you know, something like someone who just walks in and goes, yeah, how much do you want? Fine.
Yeah.
Not some guy's like, right, and do I have to paint the walls before I move in, or do you paint that, or you know, this kind of thing, like Google or Apple or these companies, you just arrive and they're like, yeah, how much is it? Yeah, we'll take it, fine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, I suppose it goes to show that, you know, I was only talking to a guy this morning, and he's a fairly new client, but he's involved in investment, and he had a little bit of, you know, back interest in FlyFit and things like that. And again, he's like, listen, these are just businessmen, and they're just using fitness as a business, where a lot of people in the middle, or maybe even towards the premium end, they're coming at it from it, although we're all a business, but they're coming at it from a slightly different angle. They're not as clued in, or they're not as worried in as the pure mathematics, the pure finances of the situation, you know, where the FlyFit guys are. So you're gonna get caught out there.
They've got a much longer term view, a different motivation for doing what they're doing.
Another thing is, if the government, and this probably will happen at some point in time, and steps in and starts to try and tighten down on regulations within the industry, there's going to be a lot of people, as you said, there's shady stuff going on in that middle space, you know, that's going to squeeze people out, because all of a sudden there's going to be more money has to get paid here, there, and everywhere, whether it's insurance, whether it is health and safety type stuff. You've already mentioned about planning permission. It's like
usages and
probably, I don't know, but probably 60%, 50% of the gyms out there potentially haven't got planning permission. That's a reality.
Yep.
You know, so in one fell swoop, if they ever wanted to, you know, half the gyms could be gone. When we're talking about these gyms in the middle, not the ones on each end of the spectrum.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, dudes, we're going to have to wrap this up.
That was probably a bit longer than what we expected.
But it's been a fucking super interesting talk. We've come up with a lot of points.
So did we tell the people how to actually?
Yeah, we're just going to do that. So email a CV and a cover letter to tom@crossfitsandyford.ie, okay, and put in the subject line 4-week work experience, okay, and we genuinely would love to talk to you, and treat it like an opportunity, okay. You'll learn a lot from this, you'll get a lot from it, and then the way it works from our point of view is people who go through this process, and they get the first shot at part-time work, because you initially start somebody out kind of on a part-time thing for a period, and then move them on to full-time. So apply to tom@crossfitsandyford.ie with a CV and a cover letter, 4-week work experience in the subject line, and then we'll be in touch with you nice and promptly. And make sure your CV doesn't have a lot of spelling mistakes in it, and you know, and all just the basic simple stuff that we talked about early on.
Yeah, if you want to know what to write in your CV, well. Yeah, we put it in the post later on. But if you want to know what to write in your CV and how to come across the CV, just listen to the shit we've just talked about. It's all there.
For sure. Super.
Some of the instructions you can't fucking fail. Last thing, Tom, we're going to have you at a couple of events coming up soon, aren't we?
Yep.
Cool. So we'll tell the people what they are. Look, we've really overshot, so I'll have to just stick it in the comment or something below.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Thanks a million for coming on. I think that's fucking daily information. People are liking it. Thanks a million for giving up some of your time on a Friday.
Thanks a million, lads. Take it easy. See you later.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.